All right, guys, so we got to talk about a fascinating but potentially devastating story that most likely will have a devastating outcome, which is the Titan submarine that went down to tour the Titanic. Now, I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys are familiar with this story. It's about the submarine called the Titan, okay, a very unique submarine, probably one of the only submarines in the world that can actually do this. But they went down about 13,000 feet to tour the Titanic wreckage in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean with 4 tourists who paid $250,000 to basically take a trip to Davy Jones' locker. And I mean, who knows, probably maybe end up there. Okay, I mean, I'm just keeping it 100, just based off what we're hearing, okay, in regards to the chance that these people will be rescued, because the submarine got lost, okay? The submarine lost communications with the main ship, okay? And we really don't know where they're at, okay? Now, there is a search team that is currently searching for them. And apparently there's a little bit of sign of hope, okay? As apparently they've heard some banging noises, which apparently could come from the passengers in the submarine banging on the submarine hull so that they can be detected, which apparently is a thing, okay? So we don't know, because some people are saying that most likely they imploded. Maybe there was a leak, they imploded, or they lost power completely. Either way, not a good situation. So I actually want to play a news clip to update you guys, to give you guys the latest as of 11:30 a.m. today on this search. And then I also want to play a clip, a controversial clip from the CEO of this sub company who happened to be operating the sub, because it really does show you how a lot of these people are too woke for their own good. So without further ado, I actually want to go ahead and roll that clip. Before I roll the clip, I just want to let you guys know, if you like my channel and you support my channel, you can check out my merch. Like, for example, my No Days Off shirt. If you want to check that out, it's at my website, gforemanbcp.com. Get 20% off using discount code TEAMBCP. So without further ado, roll the clip.
The tourist sub to the Titanic is still missing, with just hours before the 5 people inside technically run out of oxygen.
Fox 5's Robert Moses joins us in studio with the latest on the search and rescue mission deep in the Atlantic Ocean. Good morning, Robert.
So, Shawnee and Dan, good morning to you. This morning, there is potentially a sign of progress in the search, but with each passing hour, any hope of finding the 5 people on board alive dims. Early this morning, the U.S. Coast Guard said that a Canadian aircraft detected underwater noises in the search area, which is in the North Atlantic and about the size of the state of Connecticut. The news provided a shred of hope in an increasingly dire situation. It followed a report from Rolling Stone pointing to Homeland Security emails that rescue teams heard banging sounds every 30 minutes. Time is of the essence, because oxygen could run out by tomorrow morning if the vessel is still intact and operating. The carbon fiber submersible called the Titan, operated by OceanGate Expeditions, is believed to be in waters that are nearly 13,000 feet deep, or more than 2 miles below the surface. The 5 people on board have not been heard from since about an hour and 45 minutes after they submerged on Sunday, bound for the wreckage of the Titanic. This morning, there is word that a host of experts, including OceanGate's one-time director of marine operations, David Lockridge, issued dire warnings as early as 2018. Lockridge cautioned that passengers would be subjected to, quote, potential extreme danger in an experimental submersible. The company dismissed Lockridge's assessment at the time by saying that he was not an engineer and not hired or asked to perform engineering services on the Titan. The 5 people on board include OceanGate's CEO Stockton Rush, British adventurer Hamish Harding, Shahzada Dawood and his son Suleiman from Pakistan, and the French explorer and Titanic expert Paul-Henri Nargeolet, who in an eerily prophetic video warned of what could go wrong on an expedition like this one.
That 5 days is with the oxygen, with the food, with the water and everything like that, but we know very well that we will die before with the temperature. Because the real problem at this depth is the temperature. After a while, you dive because of the cold, which is not a bad way to dive, because you you fall in sleep, and it's not, you don't suffer in this case. We know that, but we never think that could happen.
There are two ways for the Titan to communicate: text message to a ship at the surface and safety pings emitted every 15 minutes. The fact that both of those means stopped working less than 2 hours into this trip is not a good sign. David Pogue, who is a CBS News journalist who traveled to the Titanic on board the Titan last year, says that means one of two things: either all power was lost or a hull breach caused the sub to instantly implode. He calls both scenarios, quote, devastatingly hopeless. Tashani, back to you.
A lot of people praying for a miracle, Robert. Thank you.
Yeah, so it's kind of unbelievable that billionaires would sign up or pay $250,000 to essentially go on an experimental sub down to the Titanic, which is a dangerous trip in and of itself. There's just some places I just think that humans don't belong, right? And deep in the ocean is one of those places, okay? But again, what is even more fascinating is the fact that, again, people will sign up for this when it seems that this submarine was kind of put together with parts that you could get at, I don't know, a Home Depot or something.
Service. An experimental submersible vessel that has not been approved or certified by any regulatory body and could result in physical injury, disability, emotional trauma, or death. Where do I sign?
Oh, take your shoes off. That's customary.
Okay. Wow.
Inside, the sub has about as much room as a minivan.
So this is not your grandfather's submersible. We only have one button. That's it. It should be like an elevator. You know, it shouldn't take a lot of skill.
The Titan is the only 5-person sub in the world that can reach Titanic depths, 2.4 miles below the sea. It's also the only one with a toilet. Sort of. And yet, I couldn't help noticing how many pieces of this sub seemed improvised.
We can use these off-the-shelf components.
I got these from Camper World. We run the whole thing with this game controller.
Come on! It seems like...
Yeah, so a submarine that is going 13,000 feet deep in the ocean that is controlled by a game controller and has parts on it from, again, like Home Depot or something. What could possibly go wrong? What could possibly go wrong? Especially considering how there has been reports and people that have come out of the woodwork that have been on this submarine basically saying that, yeah, I mean, we had safety issues when we were doing the expedition, right? Like, you know, sometimes you go down and then you had to come back up because a safety problem happened, right? Again, it's one of those things where a lack of regulations, and it's been a private company that seemed to be taking shortcuts. I think it's probably a part of the issue, okay? And it doesn't help that there's now audio of the CEO, Stockton Rush, basically saying that he didn't want to hire any experienced 50-year-old white guys because, I don't know, maybe he believes in diversity, equity, and inclusion, which means hiring less experienced people to help him or to be a part of his company. And again, the irony here in regards to this submarine, you know, going wrong or something going wrong on this trip really is kind of crazy.
Listen to what he talks about. The CEO talks about hiring people.
Yes, I mean, when I started the business, one of the things you'll find, there are other sub-operators out there, but they typically have gentlemen who are ex-military submariners, and you'll see a whole bunch of 50-year-old white guys. I wanted our team to be younger, to be inspirational, and I'm not going to inspire a 16-year-old to go pursue marine technology. But a 25-year-old, you know, who's a sub-pilot or a platform operator, one of our techs, can be inspirational. And so we've really tried to get very intelligent, motivated, younger individuals involved because we're doing things that are completely new. We're taking approaches that are used largely in the aerospace industry is related to safety and some of the preponderance of checklists, things we do for risk assessments and things like that are more aviation related than ocean related. And we can train people to do that. We can train someone to pilot the sub. We use a game controller, so anybody can drive the sub.
Wow. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. That's diversity, equity, and inclusion, guys. people may, ask questions about why do I rail against forced diversity and inclusion? This exact situation is why. This is why you don't hire people who are less experienced for a job because of their skin color, because they have a vagina, or because, they may or may not like their genitalia or who they like to sleep with. You don't hire people because of that stuff. And this right here is exactly why. It's because the 50-year-old experienced white guy, right? If you had a whole team full of them, I would bet money that this probably would not have happened. Okay, now again, I don't necessarily know, why this submarine failed. We don't know that yet. Okay, but again, you can guess that it probably had something to do with a safety failure, right? Maybe some shortcut was taken. Maybe there was not as good as quality control as there should have been from whoever inspects the submarine to make sure it's safe before going down, to make sure everything is operating. Maybe the people who are responsible for maintaining the sub are not as experienced. Again, this guy basically saying that, hey, I hire less experienced people. I hire people who are not necessarily qualified, but I try to train them up. Again, it's not a good look, because you can't take that type of risk when you're talking about this type of experimental tourist industry, because that's what it is, right? It's the same thing as the industry that's going into space in regards to having space tourism. When you talk about ocean tourism, okay, touring the floor of the ocean, again, you can't afford to hire less experienced people. You need the most experienced people possible. I don't give a damn about the race. I don't give a damn if they're white. Okay, I don't give a damn if they're, old or they're men. I don't give a damn about that. If I'm the CEO and I want to start a company where I'm taking people to the bottom of the ocean and their lives are in my hands, I'm hiring the most experienced guys I can. And that's a team of 50-year-old white guys. I don't care, right? Give me all the 50-year-old ex-military experienced white guys, because, damn it, I'm going to make sure that the tourists, the people that paid $250,000 to go on this trip, are going to come back alive. Again, if that means I have to hire a bunch of people, right, that are all the same, that all look the same, that all for the same back, I don't care. And the irony is that those 50-year-old ex-military experienced white guys that this guy didn't want to hire, they're the ones that are out there looking for him, right? They're the ones out there looking for him now, risking their lives. But again, this person put wokeness and diversity and inclusion over the lives of the people that paid a lump sum, paid a whole lot of money to go on this tour. They essentially paid money to be permanently stuck in Davy Jones' locker. And it really is a damn shame. I mean, I hope they find this crew, and I hope they find them alive. And if they do, this shouldn't be allowed, right? I mean, this shouldn't be allowed. This guy's company should be disbanded, okay? And he should be disgraced, okay? He probably, who knows? He probably should go to jail, right? I'm just saying. Because if there was an issue that could have been preventable, and it happened because he had some less experienced people working on the ship or working on the submarine or whatever, then, in my opinion, he's at fault, right? Again, it's one thing to take a risk with your own life, right? If you want to go down there in a sub that's built by diversity and inclusion hires, fine. If you want to go there yourself, fine. But when you're taking people on board that pay $250,000, you need to make sure that the best people are working on this submarine, and that, you have the best quality control that you can, and that you're not taking shortcuts. But again, my gut feeling is that there probably were shortcuts taken because it's in international waters. There's less regulation. It wasn't really expected by a third party. So again, there's a whole lot of things that can go wrong here. And if I was one of these billionaires, I don't know why in the world you signed up to do this in the first place, right? There's no way I would sign up to do something like this, especially considering the lack of safety protocols involved. But again, I'm hoping and praying that they're found alive. There's not much hope, but, miracles happen every day. So we'll see. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.